Welcome to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. I'm Kari Diaz, and I am so excited for today's podcast because we have our very own KUTV 2 News, Jamie Mcgriff. Jamie, hi.
Hi.
It's funny because we usually see each other in passing once in a while. You come in at a later time than I do, but Jamie, I have to say, we were just complimenting on her makeup too. She's so beautiful, you guys. I mean, she's beautiful in person and on camera, but it's like, you were stunning.
Thank you.
You are stunning. Okay, Jane, where did you get your love for news and journalism? Where did it start?
I guess it started in undergrad. I switched majors and jumped into the field of communications, and I wasn't sure where I was going to go. And at the time, we had a campus radio station, which still exists today. And so I just decided to just go up there and apply and just see if I would like it. And it just kind of sparked from there.
From there.
Got the job. And
how long have you been in news?
Long time. More than 10 years.
10 years. When did you start here at KUTV?
I'm going into year 4 now. 3 years, but going into my 4th year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pre-COVID, were you here right? I remember that was about 4 years ago. Yeah. When you started. What do you love most about the thrill of breaking news?
It depends on what the breaking news is. Because usually when there's breaking news, something really bad has happened.
Sure.
So it depends on what that breaking news might entail. If it's information that can help people, that would be kind of the area that I would lean closer towards, because usually there's like severe weather or there's lives that may be in danger, and
Sure.
so you want to let people know, give that urgency. So, usually when there's some kind of breaking news from that standpoint, you're trying to make sure that you get the information out there to help people.
Sure, absolutely. Can you explain to listeners what happens when breaking news is going on? What does a viewer not see on camera, but happening behind the scenes?
Chaos.
Chaos.
It's chaos. It's an open space usually in a newsroom, and so there's a lot of people yelling across the room, different things that they're finding out about, and all the producers are usually up in arms working together and coordinating and trying to get things squared away. So it's organized chaos, but it's chaos.
Sure.
And so it's just a matter of figuring out where crews are going to go, if we're going to actually break into programming to tell people what's going on. It depends. Like if the president's coming to town and we just found out that the president's plane has landed, or Air Force One has landed, then we'll probably break into programming, especially if we already have crews out there and they're on standby and they're ready to talk about it or something like that. If we had a deal where like members of the royal family were coming to visit, I'm pretty sure that would be a big enough breaking news that we would have someone cut into programming, and then they would just, have one of the anchors be on standby to go on the air and say, this is what we have going on. And at that point, we may do extended coverage. It just kind of depends on what's happening on the ground, because the reporters are the ones who are, boots on the ground. But if it's something even on a national scale where if the president is about to make some huge announcement or something like that, then we may cut into programming for that. So it's just a matter of relaying information to everybody, figuring out how it's going to impact everyone's shows and how we move forward from there.
Sure. I don't think a lot of people realize, and I only know the lifestyle TV side of this, but everything is produced for each show you do. So when it's down to like what we call the banner at the bottom of the screen and the text so when you have breaking news and they're just putting all of that in, I imagine that is pretty chaotic.
Yeah, you have to move quickly. It is a competitive industry that we're in, so you want to get it out there as quickly as possible, and of course try to beat the competition, but you want to make sure that the information that you have is accurate. So it's very fast paced. People may not realize how quickly you have to think on your toes when you do that, and learn how to pivot quickly and then go from there. So sometimes if the breaking news is maybe 30, 45 seconds long, then that's what it will be. Sometimes it's maybe 2 minutes, and we go from there. And usually there's a follow-up with the newscast, typically at 4, 5, or 6, or 10.
Okay, and as a seasoned anchor, how stressful is breaking news to you now? Are you used to it? Does it change depending on, like you were saying, depending on what the breaking news is?
No, it just comes with time. Doing squats. People who have to do a certain number of squats in like 10 seconds, you're not going to be able to do it maybe in 10 seconds. It may take longer depending on your circumstances, but it just comes with practice. And it depends, too, on whether or not you're having to ad-lib. Like, if the president's in town, you have to ad-lib before he gets off the plane. And so you have to kind of be in a position where you know what's going on and be able to talk viewers through that. So it takes time to understand that and how to gauge that and experience. In those instances, especially now, is it stressful? No, not because this is what I'm conditioned for this. Someone who's never done this before, yeah, it can be stressful because you don't know exactly how to handle it and you're uncomfortable, but this is what I do, so I'm used to it. It's like asking a paramedic who has to go to a crash scene, are you stressed out about this when you're asking someone who's been doing this for 2 decades,
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, okay, we know something's going to happen, but to what extent? So in this case, at least it's a more controlled environment compared to a paramedic, and emergency responders, hats off to them, because that's a job that,
Ooh, yeah.
that's a different ball game right there, because there's countless scenarios that they're stepping into. At least in our breaking news situation, we know what we're going to say, and we know that stuff is going on, and even if we don't know all the details, we'll let you know. We know stuff is going on, but we may not know all of the details.
Now, for the most part with the newscast, there's teleprompter, so you're reading your words and you know what you're saying. And like you said, ad-libbing, meaning just kind of having to talk without a teleprompter during breaking news. Does it ever go beyond 3, 4, 5 minutes that you're just kind of having to fill air time?
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't remember a specific situation here because I'm sure it's happened, but normally there are reporters. There's a handful of people who are on standby who can help fill that time if need be. But has it happened? Absolutely. But in those cases, I mean, we have technology and resources available to help fill that time. And that's where experience comes into play, to know where to go and what to look for. Have producers who are working behind the scenes, even while you're on the air, who can feed you information that you may not know about because you're right in the middle of talking.
Right. So they'll talk to you in your ear, maybe give you some things, new updates and things, so that you can have things to say, the facts that so you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, making sense. What are some of the big stories that you have reported on or anchored over the course of your career, either here in Utah or in another state?
I guess the most recent big story, right before coming here, I believe we had hurricane coverage along the Gulf Coast. I was working in Mobile before coming here at our sister station, and we had hurricane coverage, and it was just like round the clock, just about. Had to work a 12-hour shift. You're talking about like a Category 3 flirting with the Category 4, and you're out in it. It's a whole new meeting on having your game face on.
Sure.
Flooding and all of that stuff. But yeah, hurricane coverage, that was a big one. Hurricane coverage, there's always destruction when it comes to the aftermath of tornadoes.
Yeah.
Plenty of those over the course of time.
And were you reporting for those ones?
Oh, yeah. As far as anchoring, I'm drawing a blur or a blank because there's so many.
Yeah, you're daily doing this, so there's a lot that you go through.
Yeah, there's a lot. Of course, the biggest one for me, at least now that I'm thinking of it, would be George Floyd. The whole saga and the tragedy that unfolded with all of that and all of the updates that came from the George Floyd situation, his death, arrest, and the riots and all of that stuff.
How do you, we have some on our show on Fresh Living, we had some tough topics that we cover here and there, but with news and it being, things that are so emotional, and how do you portray that to the audience without getting attached to it? Did you do a really good job? You have a calm presence about you.
Some people are just made for it, and you can't be out of touch with your humanity, but it's game time. This is what you spend all your time and practice and work do. But it just comes with the territory. You have your work hat on, your work face on, and you go out there and you do your job. There probably are emotional moments, but you still have to get through the show because you have people who are depending on you to get through the show. Have I broke down and cried on the air? No, that hasn't happened yet. It might down the road, but as far as the sensitive stories, yeah, because you already know going in it's going to be tough.
Sure.
Yeah, I have my game face on. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just something that people who are meant to do this job, they're equipped with.
Yeah.
It's a God-given gift, really, and I'm grateful to have it, to know how to navigate through the tough stuff.
You're really good at giving the facts, letting people know what they need to know, but also having that human side that you care.
Thank you.
You're very, very good at that balance. I don't know, it must be experience, and you're meant to do this because you're very good at that, Jamie. If people are listening thinking, I would love to start a career in journalism, I have always wanted to, what advice would you give to them?
Do a lot of research. Make sure you know how much you're going to get paid and how long you're going to be paid, what you're making, before you make the kind of money that you feel that you would be satisfied with. The industry has changed so much. People are doing more with less. For some people, they do it for the love, because people don't get into this industry making a lot of money.
Right.
And at least starting off. And for some, that journey to even make halfway decent money, it could take a long time. You sacrifice a lot. Mental health is affected. To create that work-life balance can be very difficult. It's a blessing to be able to do it, and you want to make sure that you have something that you feel fulfilled in doing. And do I feel fulfillment? Yes. And it's very stressful. It's high stress. One of the highest stress jobs you can possibly sign up for. Those who are gifted and who love it, they're in it because they love it. That's really all I can say. I remember people telling me, yeah, if you're in it, you have to love it to stay in it.
Right. You gotta love what you do. It's hard work.
Yeah, it's hard work now, a lot harder than what it used to be, because now one person could be doing 3 jobs at one time, where you're the reporter, you're the photographer, and you're the editor. Mm-hmm. And you have to also make it 4, and you're also having to write stories for social media and being on the web, and you have a short deadline. So that can be overwhelming for people stepping into this, thinking that you're going to have a whole crew of people that you're going to be working with. That's it. You just show up, you write your story, and then you're going to be done. Not quite like that anymore. So the industry has changed. I'm probably one of the last few in that generation that didn't have to do all of that, starting off and going through the ranks and stuff, because now you don't hear about that. And the cities that people can work in now, there was a time where you had to have been in the industry for 10 years before you could get into the top cities like Los Angeles and New York and Dallas.
Larger stations, sure.
Larger stations, even here in Salt Lake City. And now the game has changed. It is a great opportunity for those who really want to go for it, but it's going to take a lot of work. People in Hollywood, they will probably tell you, if you think you're going to just show up and just act and all of a sudden you're going to be the superstar, doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of years. It's
a lot of years.
And Jamie, I imagine what can pull you through all of that is helping others. I imagine, for our viewers and people that are listening and that we're delivering the news to them like you do, and you're helping other people, probably gives you some satisfaction.
Oh yeah. There are days though that are really tough, and I think we all go through that. We're questioning, like, is this really worth it? And then you may get some encouraging words from someone, and then you remind yourself, yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah,
it was worth it. I just took a lot of sacrifice. And I think that's the heart of what I tell people, is that there are a lot of sacrifices that you make in this industry. And you have to ask yourself, do you want to go through those sacrifices to get point A to point B? Mm-hmm.
Just know what you're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate the honesty. You actually started a series on KUTV called Belonging in Utah. Can you tell us about what that is and what kind of stories you've covered? Okay,
Belonging in Utah, it's a Black history series that was an idea that started about 2 years ago. I knew that I wanted to contribute in some form or fashion Black History Month. I just didn't know how. And so I reached out to some people in the community and said, I want to do some Black history stories, but I just don't know where to start. There's always been this notion, or at least this first impression from people from the outside looking in, when we're talking about Utah, that there are no Black people in Utah, and if there are, there's not much Black history to go along with it. So after talking to some folks, I realized that there was actually a lot of information that just was never really shared. And since I'm here, I'm one of the anchors, I'm Black, so I needed to do something to at least I'm in a position where I can put the spotlight on something that hasn't really been talked about. I spoke with the historian and founder of the Sema Hadithi Foundation, Robert Birch. And it was while speaking with him, he explained to me while I was working on one of my stories, he said, yeah, a lot of times young Black professionals, they come to Utah, they come to Salt Lake City, they get a few years in, and then they leave, because they don't have anything to identify with here. They don't hear stories or anything that helps them feel as though they could belong here. While I was actually working on the story and getting this series started, I didn't even have a name for the series. I didn't know. I was really stressed out about it, and I was talking to my parents back in Alabama, and I was telling them, I just don't know yet. And then while I was talking to them, it occurred to me what to call it, Belonging in Utah, because we want to feel like we belong. We want to feel like there's something there that makes us feel comfortable being outside of our comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to feel like they belong with something. And so that's how it happened. I pitched it to my bosses and said, hey, I think I have a name for this, and I want to call it Belonging in Utah.
It's such a good name, Jamie.
Thank you.
It is good.
Thank you. It worked. It really stuck with people and management. They were on board with it. They said, hey, cool, let's go for it. And so from there, I just started putting together stories about Black history, about things that people don't know about, like some of the first folks who ever stepped foot in the Salt Lake Valley were Black, even before the pioneers arrived here. That kind of information, landmarks in Utah, especially in the Salt Lake area, historic communities, Black communities that are literally just blocks away from our studios. Black communities lived and thrived. And so that information, it was very, very, very useful for people, and it just took off. And so the series really took off. Supporters who watch every week, and it is a weekly series mostly. If we have March Madness or if the holidays are coming around or something like that, when a lot of people are traveling, we're probably not going to air a story. But for the most part, I've been able to do stories with the support of management and everything. I'm grateful for them that otherwise would not be told to the scale in which I tell them.
Yeah.
And so it's been great. It's been great.
Well, it's important, very important, and it's fantastic what you're doing here at KUTV and what you continue to do, Jamie.
Thank you.
So thank you. Okay, and you've lived in a couple different states. What do you like most about Utah here while you've been here?
The mountains are beautiful. A lot of times I'm amazed that I can just step outside of a store and all of a sudden, you see these huge, they're just right in your face compared to like if you go to Denver, you have to go for miles or you're looking for miles away before you see like what we see here. And so that's really cool to see that in the Salt Lake Valley, and literally just driving down I-15, you just look on both sides of the highway.
You're surrounded.
You're surrounded by mountains. And so I think that's just really great.
Which state have you enjoyed living in most? You don't have to say Utah. We just want to get to know you. But where have you loved living?
By the beach.
Okay, you're an ocean. You like the water?
The water was good. This is the first time in a while that I've actually been landlocked to a certain degree in Utah. But I believe that every state offers something unique that just adds to your overall lifetime experience.
Yeah, like our beautiful mountains. Oh, Gord, do you get out and hike? Do you get out up in the mountains too?
I have, yeah.
So pretty. Okay, we are going to do what we call Fresh Five, Jamie. We like to get to know you a little bit better too. I'm going to ask you these 5 questions. Quick answers. Are you ready?
Sure.
Do you like to dine in or do you like to dine out?
Both.
Depending on the circumstance?
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Would you rather load the dishwasher or unload and put away?
Unload and put away.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Are you a road trip or a plane ride
Plane ride.
type of girl? Okay, do you like to take that plane? And then last one, what makes you smile?
Good food.
It's a good one. Me too.
Good food.
We have some good food here in Utah.
Yeah.
Jamie, it's been so fun getting to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sitting
for
down.
having me come in.
Of course. When can we catch you on KUTV too?
For newscast, usually at 4 o'clock Monday through Friday, and I also on at 7 o'clock for ARC Salt Lake on KMYU and KJazz, and then at 9 o'clock on KJazz and KMYU for our newscast, and then 10 o'clock for Live Desk. So I'm really on in the evening newscast and sometimes filling in, so during the 5 and 6 and 10. So it just kind of depends, but every day you can catch me at 4.
Amazing. Okay, and if we want to watch the past episodes of Belonging in Utah, where can we go? Just our website, KUTV.com.
You can go to KUTV.com. There is you can click on news at the top of the page, and there should be basically a list that comes down, and you can scroll down and you'll see Belonging in Utah, and they have set up a page where you can just go through and see the previous stories that were done.
Perfect. Okay, all on KUTV.com. Jamie, thank you so much. It's been great to chat with you.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.